Welcome to Lawyers Who Learn, where we explore how attorneys' engagement in lifelong learning fuels their growth. Join us to uncover these journeys and gain insights for your legal career.
Jennifer, welcome to Lawyers Who Learn. I am so excited to dive into the two sides of your, I don't want to say personality, but the two sides of who you are as an individual, a serious attorney, and then, dare I say, a TikTok influencer. So we will go through both of those areas. So thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, David. Thanks for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
You're also, I should mention, a Law Line faculty member. You recently taught a course called Enterprise Risk Management for General Counsel, Legal Strategies to Anticipate, Mitigate, and Lead. Love that title. It already has a 4.8 star rating, 142 reviews. So that is really great for something that was just done a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Good to hear. I'm glad. I'm glad it's resonating with people, and that's great.
You have quite a long list of experiences as general counsel, I think for, I don't know, 17 years? I do a lot of podcasts. That might be from somebody else, but you were general counsel in many different companies.
Yeah.
One that, of course, I know was the Arizona Beverage Company, which the 99-cent iced tea, but...
Yep. I wasn't general counsel there, but you could say in-house counsel.
In-house counsel, I'm sorry.
I had a long life of in-house counsel experience.
You started in tax court, but then there's Zevia.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong. Mesa. You know, these are all CPG companies.
Yes.
And then you also then became a chief privacy officer, if I can read my own handwriting, right around GDPR. And like I said, you started as a tax attorney. Now you're a partner and a fractional general counsel at Dorff, Nelson, and
Sauderer. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sauderer. Yeah.
So, like I said, a lot of experience in different areas. Wow, where do I start? And then, of course, on the side, you teach and share your knowledge, not only through CLE, but through Law Line. So you have a great mic, so you're clearly a professional. Let me start with this question.
Sure.
Because you share your knowledge a lot, is there an area or topic that you don't get to talk about enough when people ask you about your career or your learning and growth journey, where you go through all those talking points that I just said, but you don't go into the true story of like how you've learned and ended up where you are today? I would love to start there if that's cool.
No, that's a very insightful question. And the thing that just popped into my head immediately was the soft skills. I don't get to talk about the soft skills. And it was different for me coming up. I was coming up during a time where, just put it this way, I got pregnant. I got a job offer coming out of the tax court, but I was pregnant, which was fine, not a big deal. And my husband and I were going to move down to Corpus Christi of all places, because that's where my job offer was and where he was interviewing. He didn't get the job. So then we couldn't do that and ended up deciding to go back to New York. And then I had to send out my resumes again, and I was showing. And I wasn't hireable. Like, that was one of the things that it was very humbling, and soft skills around that, meaning like, these days, you're not brought up with, or you're brought along. Managers bring you along and they teach you how to become a leader or a manager of other folks or whatever. For me, I was left to linger for a while, and I was on my own. I hung up my own shingle. And so I didn't have that initial upbringing that I needed, I think. And so I got to learn on the fly, really, and market myself to come back into the world of corporate law and law firm law.
Wow. You started as a tax attorney, then if I understood, when you were moving, you were pregnant. And because you were pregnant, law firms weren't hiring you.
Oh,
and which is unfortunate. They weren't hiring you.
Those were the dimes. Which was legal, but that was just how
exactly. It was whatever. Yeah. And so then you did what you had to do. You started your own practice, and then starting your own practice, you're like, oh, I need to... These soft skills are really important. And what are some of the soft skills that you're talking about? And did you, I don't know, buy books to learn how to use them? And what year are we talking about right now?
So we're talking in the early 90s, I'll say.
Okay.
mid 90s.
Okay.
And I will say that it didn't even dawn on me. I was doing a lot of real estate law because I was living in Westchester, New York, and that was it was the rise of the mortgages, if you remember that time. And I rode the mortgage wave, I'll call it, not purposefully, but just there was a lot of closings. And so I was really going from closing to closing and meeting people like on the fly very quickly. And there wasn't really a soft skill involved. I'm a personable person, so it was fine. But once I got into the law firm setting and then got into the in-house setting, and then we're talking like early 2000s, it was a different hierarchy. It was a different context. I was in a sort of a banded niche. Like, in other words, how can I explain it? You're not coming in as a manager, you're coming in as an associate, or you're not coming in
Sure.
as a leader, you're coming in as an associate. I had to, I don't want to say learn my place, but you're coming from hanging up your own shingle to working under somebody and who's also working under somebody who's also working under the CEO. And you have to learn what will get you where you want to go, but you have to also learn how to play nice in the sandbox with all of the other people where you're in your band.
So is part of that like filtering what you're saying?
Well, yes and no. I have that kind of neurological brain that I think very like I have ideas flowing all the time, and I talk about this on my TikTok account, one of my TikTok accounts. And when I'm in a conversation with somebody, I tend to ideate very quickly, and I don't want to lose the thought that I want to bring to the conversation. I don't like to interrupt people, but that's my propensity. I just want to get in there and give my ideas because I feel like they have value. You got to learn to curb that, especially in a corporate setting. You can't
Yeah,
just
totally.
interject. And then there's, I hate to say it, and it's going to sound a little, I don't know what it's going to sound, but it's probably not politically correct to say. But then there's learning how to deal with the mansplaining that
Yeah.
and that was really in the early 2000s for me. And it was real. And I was taken aback because I wasn't used to it. Going into closings, you're in for 2 hours and then you're out. You're not
Yeah.
forming any type of rapport with anybody per se. And so this was a shock to my system too. So you really had to know your audience. You had to understand what you could and couldn't do in a corporate setting. And this was stuff that I was never taught.
To build on this topic, I know one of the things that you had mentioned and you sent to us before the interview, because we asked some questions to you, you had mentioned 2 books that were really influential for you in your growth. One is 7 Habits of Effective People.
And that's where I learned some of my soft skill, I will say.
Great. No, and there was a point where I was doing these mnemonics and it had this car, and every part of the car, I was able to remember what the 7 highly effective habits were. They're gone now,
Okay. That's cute.
unfortunately, so this is around that time as when you read that book? Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
And don't ask me to quote it
No,
because
don't
I
worry.
can't keep those type of factoids in my head.
Totally will not do that. Because we have to remember 95, you can't go on YouTube, right? You can't go on Instagram, you can't go on TikTok. You have to read a book, which are
Yeah.
still the best investment that you can get. And
Yeah.
so you did lean on a book at that time. And that
Yes,
one
I
was
finally
helpful.
did. I did. Absolutely.
And that is obviously one of the best-selling top books in this area. And another book you mentioned, I don't know if it was at this time or maybe you read this book,
Later.
was What Got You Here Won't Get You There.
Yeah.
So
And that was really
tell us.
gearing me up towards a management position. Because you have to learn
Which role?
it was really gearing me towards general counsel from like deputy, let's say, or associate.
Got it.
And you really need to learn it's teaching you that all of the nose to the grindstone, to me, this is my takeaway. The nose to the grindstone work that you were doing, great, all good, but that's not going to get you into leadership positions. There's other skills that you're going to have to learn, like delegation is a good example, and bringing somebody along and mentorship and all that kind of stuff.
And one of the things, I did read that book too, and trying to remember some of the things that stood out to me was understanding your blind spots.
Yeah.
And I actually recently did a exercise which was transformative to just hear and also painful. It was called Zone of Genius, and then blind spots. Zone of Genius are the areas where, so I have a forum of 7 entrepreneurs, executives, where we meet once a month, like almost like a board of advisors.
Okay.
So we went on a retreat recently, and everybody writes down for everybody in the group what their zone of genius and their blind spots are. And then we go around the circle and everyone says what it is for each person. And for my blind spots, which was interesting, was like, I have a lot of goals and I do them and accomplish them fast, but sometimes I don't share the why behind them enough, or the purpose why I'm doing them
Oh,
versus just
that's
trying to
interesting.
accomplish. And yeah, no, it was, and then there was more painful things that whatever that you hear. So have you ever done that exercise where do you know what are your blind spots that you would want to share publicly?
I think one of my blind spots is not recognizing when I'm moving too fast.
Yeah.
Really. Not recognizing, in other words, know your audience, not recognizing that I'm not bringing the person along that I'm talking with effectively. And that's obviously a linchpin of being a lawyer and giving advice. You want to bring that person along with you in the conversation. So I think that's one of my blind spots. I've really been working on it very hard, subconsciously or not purposefully, but just as I mature as a lawyer. And I still am. And funny enough, just to bring the TikTok thing up again, that going on lives on TikTok has really centered me so much in my speech and in my reaction to questions and how I deliver information. So it's been helpful.
All right, let's do it. Let's talk about it, because
Yeah.
I I want to be inspired to do it. I really do. I think I have. If I figure out my why behind why I want to do it, then I'll get there. But
Yeah.
I think being able to communicate effectively to other people is the most important skill set that you can have for me, I want to inspire, empower people to live their life to their fullest. And so,
Absolutely.
so take me through the beginning, the middle, and the end. How did you even
Yeah.
think about this? What are you actually doing on there? You said you're doing it live. Go through that, and I'll stop in
Sure.
between.
So I actually went onto TikTok. I was inspired by my daughter, who has been on TikTok for a while, and she's such a highly intelligent person, smarter than I, far smarter than
Isn't
I.
that amazing? Right? The
I love
upgraded
the fact
version of
that both
yourself.
my children are so much smarter than I. I love that because I learn from both of them every day. I learn from them. And I realized that she was also getting a lot of her knowledge based on TikTok. So when
Yeah.
I had a burning question about my physical conditions, my body, my aging, anything like that, I finally just decided to go on TikTok. I had not gone on TikTok primarily because I really didn't trust the privacy, because I'm chief privacy officer. So yeah, it was a privacy law thing. And then I guess when they factioned off and were owned by a US company, I felt a lot more comfortable. The data wasn't necessarily going cross border, that kind of thing.
Sure.
So I made myself an account, an anonymous account, just because I didn't want any followers. I literally wanted to doom scroll and learn. And that's what I did for a long time. And I was just so grateful because I learned so much, non-legal stuff, but I learned so much. And I was so amazed at the community and the anecdotal stories that I was able to pick up, medically speaking, socially speaking, you name it. It was eye-opening. And I enjoyed it. And it just dawned on me that after I did like this deep dive into like skincare, I mean, of all things, that was one of the things that just spurred me on. I did a deep dive into skincare. I was learning all about Korean beauty skincare and the weird ingredients. I had been in beauty for a while at the CPG company called Mesa. I was SVP general counsel and head of regulatory affairs there. And so I knew about all the key ingredients and the claims and all that kind of stuff. And so that's why it really did interest me. And then I'm listening to a lot of content providers on my For You page, and I'm listening to things like snail mucin and salmon sperm, things that you would not look to put on your body, much less your face. It just made me realize it was like a light bulb moment that Korea really has it on lock with this innovation, and I wanted to learn more, so I did. And I realized there's so many good products. I started using them, and I started seeing results. And as soon as that happened, I just realized I didn't want to gatekeep. I wanted to pay it forward. And it was literally about paying it forward. honestly. So I bit the bullet and I changed my handle, I guess you could call it, my username, to something that sort of resonated with what I was talking about. And so I started my journey. And then I decided, once I was given the opportunity, TikTok doles out opportunities as you grow. And it has an algorithm and it learns from what you're doing that you have a niche. My niche was pretty much K-beauty skincare, being postmenopausal, 61 years old, all that kind of stuff. And yeah. And so it learned from me and it gave me the opportunity to go live at, I literally had 500 followers, which I don't know if you know the world of TikTok, but that's very low. Because I started out with nobody. I started out with 0. I didn't want any followers, frankly. And I did not invite any people that I knew that were on TikTok. I didn't, friends, family, none of that. I started clean and I just wanted a following of people that were just interested in what I had to say. So I went on my first live and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I had an outline that I fashioned and I didn't really stick closely to it. I took people through my timeline. I took people through getting onto TikTok and enjoying the community, appreciating the community. And that's what this is all about, community. And let's give back and ask me questions and share my life so that others can benefit. That's the mode that I was in. And I talked about the products that I was using, how I was using them, what I learned about skin flooding, all of these concepts.
Your skin looks amazing.
Thank you.
I can tell you, like, just I am super curious what these products are because there's so many questions I have from all this. Because,
Shoot.
all right, so let's just talk about the products for a second, because
Yeah.
now there's a list, because I know my wife, a million people who would want to understand the products more than my daughter, like anyone, even me, like anybody wants better skin. So
Sure.
so what products do you recommend now versus when you started? And how did you buy them from Korea, or where did you buy them from?
So thankfully, TikTok Shop sells a lot of products from Korea. So that's primarily why there's a following on TikTok of Korean beauty skincare. So that number one, I bought my products on TikTok Shop. And number two, I literally watched influencers and learned and tried to watch the influencers that had older skin problems. Because you could see a 20 or 30 something year old putting on this, I don't know, volume plumping substance on their face and say, look how great it does, but they don't have the problems that I have. And so it's not as believable. So I tried to really immerse myself in older influencers that had the certain problems, like the uneven skin tone, the melasma, the dark spots.
How many products did you have to try before you found the right mix?
I haven't tried I'll say it this way. I haven't tried very many products that I didn't like because I did so much research before I even bought it.
Got it. And do you have on because you've done a lot of the work for other people, right?
Exactly. That's the
Is
point.
it where, if I go to, do you have a list of products? Just if I don't want to spend the time.
Yeah, I have a showcase. It's called TikTok calls it a showcase.
Is it a link that you can share, or links?
Can I share the link? I'm sure I can. I'd have to figure it out. But if you go to my profile, it says showcase and you click on it.
And then you just can buy from the TikTok store or whatever. I sound so not.
No, it's okay.
It's funny because I use Instagram Reels. Are you also on Instagram?
I'm not, because there I do have a lot. I have an account. I'd have to start from scratch there too, because
Got it.
it's everybody I know. And it's a lot of celebrities that I was following and things like that just for fun. And I don't want that. I don't want that on my account.
Okay. All right. But how many products are we talking that you use right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Like
So my skin, I do an AM and PM routine, and I'll say I use about 3 toners. I think I use probably about 3 serums and then 2 moisturizers. So
every day.
Yeah.
And what does the Korean skincare product, if you could give it a short answer, I don't know, what are they doing differently? Because obviously you worked at CPG companies. It should be easy enough to copy. Like, what is their products have that others don't?
It's what they have that others don't, A, and then it's B, it's the skin flooding concept. It's how they apply it. And when I first saw this skin flooding concept of like layer upon layer of toners and layer upon layer of serums, I was like, that makes no sense. Then
Yeah.
that makes no sense to me. But I guess somebody explained it. One of the influencers explained it like a sponge. You dip the sponge into something and it permeates a certain amount. But if you dip it in again to another thing, then that first substance goes further and you're sucking in a little bit more of the second substance. Then you dip it into the third and it's sort of
Wow.
closing deeper into the dermis.
I assume all your friends who follow you, like, are just like, you're the guru here, just based on what you're saying.
Yeah, I have some loyal followers. I still am growing my account. I
Yeah.
think I'll always be growing my account. I'm still growing my account. But, they bring to the table certain things. They'll say, okay, I have a certain skin condition. What do you recommend? And
Yeah.
I am not, I always have to sit with, I'm
Not
not
an
an
expert. Yeah.
I'm not an expert. I'm not a doctor. But for me, this is what worked. This is what did it.
How often do you go on TikTok to make a
Oh my
video?
gosh.
You
Yeah,
make a video every day.
yeah, it's like a job. I have to say, it's like a job. I do spend a certain amount of hours each day.
Are you, and you mentioned lives. Why did you do live versus a video on demand or whatever you want to call it?
So it's called a live because basically you're doing a video, but you have a live audience that's able to interact with you, that's able to ask you questions. They come on as guests. They
Sure.
see,
But it's a live video you're doing.
but it's a live video.
Yeah.
And the reason why I do that is because it gives more reach
yeah.
and it enables you to push out more information. When you do a TikTok video, it's a short.
Yeah.
You usually do 60 seconds and that's it. So you're
Yeah.
relegated to very
Got
little.
it.
And people typically don't watch more than like 16 seconds.
Yeah. Totally. So when you do it, no, is there it's a lot more pressure to do a live. So
Yes.
it goes both ways. Doing it a short, there's pressure because you have to edit it so people has to be highly produced. When you
Yes.
do it live, I guess it has to be less highly produced, but you have to know what you're going to say going into it. Are you demoing what you do as part of some of the videos?
I've done that, like a get ready with me. Yep, I've done that. If I pin a product to the live, I show the product and I show how to use it, that kind of thing. But it's not all Korean beauty skincare, especially my second account, which is a dysautonomia account. And that account,
What did you say? What?
Dysautonomia.
What is that?
So that is when you have dysautonomia, you have a condition where your autonomic nervous system, which controls things like breathing and heart rate and sweating and all the things that you can't really control yourself, your brain controls it, is dysregulated. So it's called dysautonomia.
Got it. Is that something that happens post-menopause to some women?
I don't know that that's definitely tied
Okay.
in. I'm sure it could be
Okay.
hormonally driven, but for me, I got long COVID POTS, which is
Wow.
postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, and that's what drove me to do a deep dive on TikTok and learn
Wow.
everything there. Yeah.
How do you come up with your content if you're doing it every day? How are you creating a calendar? What's your
Yeah,
process?
that would be a good organizational skill to have, creating a calendar and figuring that out. I do it on the fly because I like to be as authentic as possible. And so I use my everyday circumstances. So if I woke up one morning and I felt like my heart was racing and that day and I had to wear compression socks because the blood was definitely pooling in the lower extremities, that kind of thing, then I'll talk about that and I'll talk about what I'll carry people through my day or what I did, like maybe I lied on the bed and put my feet in the air, things like that to solve that problem because there's a lot, my followers, not 100%, but most of them have POTS as well, or other dysautonomic conditions such as like mast cell activation syndrome, which I also was diagnosed in 2019 with, and Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. That's
Post the vaccine? No, 2019
no.
was before.
I actually always had mast cell activation syndrome, but they didn't know it was a thing. That's
Got
really
it.
also the reason for this account, this dysautonomia account, is because there's so much knowledge that the medical profession has to keep up with, and they haven't. And they didn't have this knowledge base before. Now they do, or now they have the wherewithal to learn about it. And I'm hoping that like the FDA comes on board, medical care providers come on board, because it's a newer condition, but it's not. It's been around for ages, but it's
Okay.
now being learned about.
So often you hear about the negative side of TikTok, which there's a big component of false
Yeah.
information, just so much out there. It's good to hear the positive side of like where, for example, the journey you took. And again, I use Instagram like people use TikTok, and I learn a ton. Whatever you watch, the feed keeps generating, and it usually ends up being like motivational videos or grief video. My mom passed away a year and a half ago, and then
Oh, so
had
sorry.
thank you. I had a year and a half, and I still do, of videos that just hit you at the right moment, and they're so powerful. I just want to go back, and I'm sure you didn't expect to talk about TikTok this whole time, but
Oh, that's okay.
but
I'm happy to.
the creating component, I can't understate how hard that is to not only to do it, but to do it daily. And it seems like you have now 2 videos. I don't know if you're doing them 2 accounts. Are you doing them both daily?
Yes. Although I
Um,
pared down, I was doing like at least 3 to 5
Wow.
videos a day, and I pared down because it
And
didn't.
you're doing them from your phone, right?
Yep.
And then you have I assume you have a stand that you do. Do you have a light on the
I have a
stand?
ring light. Yes.
Do you have a ring light? Anything? And do you have a mic that you wear, or you just use the phone mic?
I typically use this one for my live, but I have
Got it.
I
So when
have
you
one
say
of
you
those.
use that for your live, but you're still using your phone, you connect that to your phone, or you
No, sometimes I'll use my iPad instead for the live because
that connects to the iPad. Okay.
Yeah.
But you're using vertical video always, not horizontal, correct?
Yes. Correct.
And the other component, because it's actually to be real. Do you ever like overlook it? Okay, you put the video and you're like, I hate how I look. And you spend a half
Oh
hour.
my God, yes.
Eh,
So this is funny. I did a live, and not a live. Yes, a live. I did a live the other day, and that was the first time I used my iPad, and the camera's not good.
Yeah.
Comparatively speaking to I have an iPhone 13. It's not even the latest, but the camera's really good. The camera was not good. And I was like, oh, this is horrible. But I wasn't going to stop in the middle. I just went
Yeah.
because I realized after all said and done, it is what it is. It's one
Yeah,
time.
totally. And how long are your lives?
I do them for an hour.
An hour.
Yeah. And sometimes I'll do a live for each account. So there's 2, I do back-to-back
Eh,
lives.
And are people interacting with you, or are you just talking?
Sure.
But
Yeah.
sometimes you're just
I'm
talking.
talking
Sometimes
the
they're
whole
not.
time. I'm talking the whole time because unless I allow a co-host, which I have
Yeah.
done,
Yeah.
but it does take over and it goes a whole different direction. So I don't do that often. But unless I allow a co-host, I'm talking the whole time, and then I'm just reading the inputs, the engagement,
Yeah.
stuff. and questions.
Is there the other challenge with social media? Sometimes people are like, "You're terrible," like giving you negative feedback. Is
Knock
that
on wood, I can't say that I have gotten
okay?
a
Good.
lot of negativity. I have gotten one comment that I made about for myself. I always only talk about myself because, I only know about myself, so I can't comment on
Yeah.
anything. But I mentioned something about neurodiversity, and I did get a comment saying, and I don't even remember the context, but something like, I'm sorry, I don't understand how that leads you to neurodiversity. To appreciate the comment. It was very honest. It wasn't a good comment, but it really wasn't that bad a comment.
Yeah, totally. Again, just so I can understand it, an hour. You do have to prepare for an hour conversation. Are you taking notes ahead of time? I just still am trying to.
You'd
An
be
hour long.
surprised what comes out of this brain of mine that like I don't have to prepare. I literally can talk and talk. I just need
Searching
a
on how
little
many
bit of
people.
that.
But if you're on and let's say you're 25 minutes in, you see there's 2 people watching. Do you
It
care?
doesn't matter. I don't even, after a while, I'm not paying attention as to how many people are in the live because I can't really pay attention to that. The names scroll up and then they disappear. So I don't know if they're staying, if they've just stayed for a minute and then gone and then
How do you
left.
see the comments? It's on the bottom.
I see the comments. That's what I'm looking for.
Okay,
The
got it.
questions and the comments.
Okay, here's the $1,000,000 question.
Sure.
I think you said you have 1 daughter.
I have 1 daughter and I have 1 son and I have 2 stepsons.
Okay, let's start with your daughter.
Okay.
What does she think of this?
I think she's proud of me. I think she appreciates the content that I'm putting out there. She's staying with us just until Monday, I think. Just she's on vacation. Not really vacation. She's still working remotely, but she came to stay with us for a week or two. And I think she doesn't necessarily appreciate that. I'm like, okay, finish work, but I just had to make 2 videos. But
Like,
she knows,
my,
she understands.
my kids, when I do stuff online, especially videos, there's just an embarrassment factor. There's, what are you doing?
It's cringe. Yeah, I get that. How old are your kids, first of all?
My twins are seniors in high school. And then
17, 18?
yeah, actually 16, but they're turning 17 next month. So let's say 17. And then I have a 7th grader. But yeah, they're just
Well,
more,
so the
yeah.
reason, sorry to interrupt, but the reason that's happening is because that's the age of your kids. Mine are 30 and 33. So
Yeah, they're way
they're
past
they're
caring
not,
about what you
they're
do.
past the embarrassment stage, and now they're into like the teaching stage, which is great. I'm all for it. I'm there,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So if an attorney or somebody who's not is inspired by you and wants to do this, and this goes back to my blind spot, right?
Yep.
Why would I want to be on TikTok? And your why was you learned a lot based on your conditions and you felt the need to share with others.
Sure.
What else? Because
What else can I see? What
no,
else
no,
am I?
what else can you give somebody? Okay, I'm inspired. I want to try this. Is it important? What I see what you do, which is I think really key, is you do something that's called "Don't Break the Chain," which is you do it every single day, and your goal is to never break that chain of doing it daily, because then you have that rhythm. If you're just like did it when you felt like it, you would never want to do it because it's painful to do sometimes. Probably is that a strategy of yours, or to get?
Yes, it's a strategy. Consistency. Okay, you got to remember everything is based on the algorithm. So it's garbage in, garbage out. If you're doom scrolling on a certain topic, it's the same thing. If you're doom scrolling on a certain topic, that's what you're going to get fed on your For You page. It's called the FYP, the For You page. And so if you're watching garbage not really garbage videos, but if you're watching like dog videos, let's say, which I love dog videos, but if you're watching dog videos, that's what you're going to get. But if you're watching, I don't know, inspirational, spiritual videos, that's what you're going to get. And so you have to realize that it's the same with the content you're putting out, because the algorithm actually reads your niche. And if you want to possibly become an influencer that gets a lot of followers and has a huge following, and possibly maybe even tie it into your actual professional career somehow, then you really do have to localize that niche and try and stay within it so that the algorithm learns from it. And that's part and parcel to why you have to be consistent, because
you're saying what your topic you teach has to be in that niche. Whatever you're sharing should stay in that one specific.
Should stay in that niche. You can meander a little bit. It's fine. The more content you put out there, the easier for the algorithm to read. And the algorithm is an AI algorithm, so it just needs to read your content. So if you put out content daily, consistently, and then one of the videos happens to be a rage of how, I don't know, the healthcare system today, something like outlandish that is not in your niche, that's okay, because you've put out enough content. The bulk of your content is in your niche, and the AI algorithm will have no problem reading.
And would you recommend to others to do lives versus shorts?
So I don't think there's a versus here. I think you have to start out doing shorts because you're not allowed to do lives.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that's one of the privileges that TikTok grants you. And typically, I think it's not granted until you're 1,000 followers. I think. I'm not positive about that, but somehow I got granted at 500. And maybe it's because I was so consistent with my shorts that I put out. I don't know.
Got it. Okay. And when you do the shorts, do you use CapCut?
I do. Not a lot, but I do. I like CapCut when I've filmed content that's sitting in my camera, that's sitting in my videos on my phone. I do prefer, and I think the algorithm prefers, when you record directly from the app, directly from TikTok. And TikTok does have a lot of the CapCut stuff, so it's not like you're
okay. So you record shorts on your TikTok phone.
I absolutely record,
and then you can edit it on there. Even I think they own CapCut too, right?
They might either that or the API. They definitely API.
Yeah.
Because you can push it right out to TikTok. But I will say, like, user-generated content providers will tout and promote you to shoot a lot of B-roll. Just shoot a lot of B-roll on your camera because you never know when you're going to use it. So when you record straight from TikTok and you put in captions and you put in like a headline or whatever, all that, and then the music, all that stuff is coupled together in one videoed package, and it'll get saved onto your photos on your phone.
Yep.
But it'll get saved as that. So you can't, it's hard to reuse that video is my point.
Totally. And again, what I understand is when I go through it, you can easily just recreate anyone else's video. There's like trends, right?
Oh, yes. There's
you-
trends.
Did you try to
Whatever's
copy
working.
trends? Were
I
you gonna
didn't copy trends, but I have done a couple of trends. TikTok will tell you, this is a new trend, go try this. And I have tried that. But I've also watched some content providers who have been really successful in the video that they've put out. And I said, I haven't done this yet, but I've watched it and I've said, I could do that. Like, why am I reinventing the wheel? Why don't I just do that?
So now I asked the $1 million question. Let's go to the $2 million question.
Okay.
Should attorneys be on TikTok for what they do? And
That's a good question.
yeah.
So when I first started out and I was thinking about my handle and I was thinking about my niche, I included in my thought process for my main account, which was the skincare account, I included in that lawyer. But I felt that let me grow my following first and then see. And the reason being is because since I'm a resident of Florida and I'm admitted into the Florida bar, I didn't want to put out content that would bring in clients because I couldn't yet in Florida.
Got it.
Okay. Not until we established this office. And so there was a little bit of a damper on it. So I said, all right, let me put it on hold for now. But I will say, I do follow this one attorney called Lauren is my lawyer. And I started following her during the Diddy case. And she was fantastic. She actually had a friend who was a lawyer that was on one of the teams. I think it was the boys Schiller team, I think. I'm not positive. And, or maybe it was the opposite side. I don't even remember. But she was getting certain, not confidential information, obviously. They would discuss what went on that was publicized. And so Lauren would then go on and do a TikTok about, and she did, I don't know, like 20 something episodes. It was fantastic. I loved it. She happens to be a divorce lawyer in Texas. She originated in New Orleans, and she's funny. She's truthful. She's authentic, and she brings her client experiences anonymously, obviously. And I do learn from her because I don't practice in that area.
So here would be my imposter syndrome to go on TikTok. I'm too old. There's too many good videos out there that I can't do it. What I have to say is interesting, but probably too generic. And it's too much of a learning curve to learn how to edit and do it well. And then I guess the fifth one is like, why? I don't know why. So all those things. And I think that goes through a lot of people's heads. So I don't know if you can take me.
Okay, so let me bring it to your audience in the package of an attorney's perspective.
Yeah, please.
So you're an attorney and you definitely want to get some content out there. Yes, you want to advertise for yourself. And yes, you're going to stick within the advertising ethical rules, of course. So all of what I'm saying is caveated with, you have to check with your state's ethical rules of attorney advertising. But you want to go on TikTok because you want to pay it forward. You want to give some information out there to the Gen Pop about, let's say, trusts and estates. We'll talk trust and estates. That seems to be something that would touch everybody's life because death and taxes.
Yeah.
So why? All right, you're too old. You have to be a little old to get enough experience. So the too old thing, I think we can throw out the window right now. Tell me the list. Go through the list. Give me the second one.
So
too old.
Even with, let's use the tax and estates, there's a million videos already out there.
Okay, yeah, there's so much content out
there.
Okay. You're bringing your secret sauce. You're bringing how your brain's going to process what the Gen Pop might want to know or should know, or they don't know and they should know about trust and estates. For instance, why form a trust? How it can help you, how it can avoid probate, and what does probate mean? These are things that, generally speaking, the general population doesn't really know.
Yeah.
And other people might know, but so what if they put content out there? They're not getting on the people's For You pages that you're going to be getting on. So it doesn't really matter.
And it's so interesting because I love doing, let me stick with this, for example. And then the next one was the ability to to have enough to say, because
Right.
especially on a regular basis, and to organize my thoughts and not, this goes to the imposter syndrome, and not look stupid.
Okay. First of all, you're not going to look stupid because you're a professional and you know your profession, and you're going to be talking about, or your interest. You're going to be talking about what you've learned, what the information you've garnered. And again, I want to use this phrase, paying it forward, because it really it's relevant here. So you're not going to look dumb, but yes, you may be putting forth content that either A, you've already done, you might be repetitive, and or B, that other people have put forth. But that's okay. Again, it's an ever-evolving algorithm. So the For You pages that you're going on are not necessarily the same ones that you were on 2 days ago.
And the final would be, which I think is really a big impetus for people before they try it, is understanding how to use to make it like, it's not just hitting point and shoot, like to actually edit, to put the music on, to make it good, like that. I can see being
It's a learning curve. It's
Yeah.
a learning curve. But if you put in some time, and I didn't put in a lot because I am in a full-time job here, but you put in some time, and I'm by no means a technical expert, and I'm not that technically oriented. But if you put in enough time to just maybe watch some content, because there's a lot of content providers that are telling you how to do this and giving you screenshots. So that's what I did. I again learned on TikTok. I can't say enough about how much I've learned on TikTok.
It goes to show, and if you're not there, you don't know, but yeah, my kids learn from TikTok all the time, and really good stuff too. A lot of stupid stuff also, which is part of that. How has this led to positive energy in your, it seems you must be smiling every day, like knowing when you're being your true self and putting yourself out there. How has this complemented your day job by doing
It's so complemented my day job. Like, I think I either mentioned early on the podcast or before we started the podcast that going live has really given me this extra confidence, and it really has focused me on the know your audience thing. That's a very big learning point. And I now speak to clients with way more confidence than I had before. I now am able to ideate faster. Your brain actually is an ever-evolving thing. It can grow.
Yeah.
It can form new neurological connections, and I think that's what it's done.
Basic question: when you have many accounts, you can just switch through the accounts on TikTok?
Yes, you're able to do that.
Got it. Ooh. It's really, I'm not even gonna try to, the interview's over. I'm not gonna try to switch back to the other part of career, because I think this in itself was so valuable, so different than other interviews that I've done.
Oh my
Because
gosh, thank you. That's a great to
yeah,
hear.
like nobody has really done this in this way. And because you have a serious side, I assume, right? 'Cause
Yes, I do.
you have a serious role. You protect clients in so many different areas, and then you have this creative side, and everybody has both of those things. And you figured out a way to make them work. And you have 4 kids, and you have kids who are, like you said, contemporaries who are teaching you. And with having 2 kids going off to college, it's good for me to hear that, because even though I'm not going to be an empty nester, there is fear of like change. You missed the having children.
I'll always
in the
miss
house,
the
and
childhood, because you know what? That went by so fast. It went by too fast.
That's what they say. That's what they say in TikTok. So
You'll always miss that, but it's such a gift to be able to be a compatriot, like friends with your child.
I called you Jennifer in the beginning, but I see your name on here as Jen. Do you go by Jen or Jennifer?
I go by Jen.
So Jen, I started as Jennifer, but I'm going to end as Jen, because I feel like I know you so much better now, and I appreciate you being open and transparent here into the legal community of what you do on TikTok. And hopefully it will inspires one attorney to pick up that phone and share their knowledge.
Yes.
Let us know if you were inspired by this. let me know. Reach out to me on LinkedIn at David@Law Align. Jen, how could they reach out to you?
You
And
can
this,
email me. You can email me. I'm at jnelsonflynn@dorflaw.com.
okay. But I would love to know if anybody at this point, and even maybe I'll find some clips that we can. The challenge is, and we've done it at Law Align, but it never looks good when you try to take a Zoom video and
Yeah,
turn it into a story. The quality degrades so bad. It's
it
not worth
does. I
doing.
get that. But
So
listen, I'd be happy to come on again and talk about
we can do it live.
at DC. Yeah.
I have 2 lives that I would want to do. I don't know if it's too aggressive. One is teach to learn, because I think teaching is the best form of learning. And
Oh yeah.
you're a faculty. We have 2,000 faculty members. I've had 100 guests and just sharing their story, something like that. And the second one, I have a book coming out called Raising Travelers. It's
Oh
when
nice.
I moved abroad for 2 years with our family, and now my kids, it's opening up their minds to why travel is so important. I think a lot of people like want to move abroad or talk how you raise your kids and get them to think differently. So I think that could be an interesting topic. With that, my imposter syndrome is like, nah. Or people,
No, I think that's great. There's a lot of travel users that are talking about travel and stuff. So
yeah. So
good. Huh?
I'll let you know. Maybe I'm the one you inspire. I'm really gonna
Okay.
try. I do have imposter syndrome. I'm not gonna lie. So I'm gonna really try. And I know that is the hardest thing for everybody, to get through something new, to break through that wall. So
Yes. Of course.
yeah, you did it, and I can't wait to I'm gonna start following you, watch the videos, and I'll make some comments as well.
Oh, thank you.
right.
That would be great.
All right.
Awesome.
Speak to you soon.
Okay, thanks.